Yes, hello friends. How are you doing today? I hope you're good. Now, one of Museveni's generals, known as Gen Tumwine, I think he's the former Minister of Security or something of that sort. You see, Museveni has so many ministers and ministries that at times I lose track. But the gentleman you see there is called the Gen Tumwine. First and foremost, he's a very talented gentleman, like you can see here. Let's see his talent. So, he's one of the most talented military officers. Actually, he's the only general in Uganda who can sing. Like you can see, he's very passionate about singing and very passionate about art. He has been very close to Museveni for a very long period of time. But the recent cabinet reshuffles that happened, the gentleman was was dumped. He has never been a minister like he claims, that he has only been a minister for just 3 years, for the 35 years they have been in power. And after 3 years, Museveni has dumped him, meaning that he didn't do a good job. He's the same person who said that the police have a right to shoot you. Now, I don't know what he expected when he said those words, that police has a right to shoot you. And then those words went viral in the entire international media, making Tumwine a baggage. The first time he became Minister of Security, he actually messed everything up. So as a matter of fact, it looks like having been denied another chance to serve as a minister and, to be close to Museveni once and again, the gentleman is livid. He's very angry. Let us first, I think, listen to his speech that he gave as the outgoing minister while he was handing over to another gentleman known as Gen Tumwine. Let us listen to his speech and then we shall come back and go through the monitor and then we shall make the analysis.
I think he knows that I am not after these positions that people clamor for, and perhaps that's why he would rather take care of his political interests of balancing here and there. And I remain a freedom fighter and I admire him and thank him as my teacher, my mentor, my leader, and my hero. I will continue to give him my genuine support and advice. And to me now, I think the best advice we can give him is prepare for a smooth transition so that we ensure stability and long-term peace for the long future. You know, it should be our duty to save him from being Ngambanyenka. Wanyakore have a proverb, Ngambanyeka nyukama mavi, that the one who does not take advice brews some bad beer. But we should save the president that problem. Or we should save him. There is a disease diagnosed by political scientists and psychologists that called hubris syndrome. It's our duty to help him not to have that problem, because it is the advice that we give him that will help him to do his work with everybody else and better than he would otherwise have done if he...
Now, like you have heard, the gentleman was telling Museveni about the hubris syndrome and about his frustrations that Museveni was not taking his advice and things of that sort. It is rare to see generals in Uganda to go, speaking in such a way that Tumwine was speaking, especially with that anger that he spoke with. Anyway, let us look at the monitor. Monitor says, I will advise Museveni to prepare for smooth transition of power, says Tumwine. Now, former Security Minister Gen Tumwine says he will advise Museveni to prepare a smooth transition of power for a long-term stability of the country. The NRA historical and topmost general after Museveni and his brother Salim Saleh made the announcement shortly after handing over the security docket to Major General Gen Tumwine on Wednesday, saying it is one of the first things he will do when he assumes his new role of senior presidential advisor. Quote, as I take on my new advisory role, I'll advise Museveni to prepare for a smooth transition of power for a long-term stability of our country. Tumwine, who was appointed senior presidential advisor as President Museveni recently announced his new cabinet, quote, I'm happy to be handing over to Jim Muhwezi, a friend and an old-time comrade. I promise my resolute commitment to you in executing your official duties at the ministry. I'm humbled to have served my country. I'll forever be grateful to the President for being a visionary and excellent leader of the revolution. Tumwine, who once served as the commander of the National Resistance Movement Army from 1984 to 1987, added. Earlier this year, Tumwine came under fire after he urged that the security forces were justified to kill civilians during the November riots, which left more than 50 Ugandans dead following the arrest of the then presidential candidate Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, also known as Bobi Wine. Last year, MPs attempted to censure him on accusations that he had blocked the work of the parliament when the Committee on Human Rights was probing illegal detention centers or safe houses in the country in which many Ugandans have allegedly been tortured. In 2009, the Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, instituted an investigation into the alleged torture by the ISO, International Security Organization, after Mr. Latif Sebagala, DPMP Kawempe North, and Kasiano Wadri, Luwa Municipality, alleged that ISO was running safe houses to torture people in Kalangala and Chengera in Wakiso. Tumwine will be appearing before the committee, then chaired by Ms. Jennifer Nantumwe, later admitted that government was running safe houses for intelligence purposes that are not torturing civilians. The committee noted from some of the testimonies that individuals use security agencies to resolve their personal conflicts and recommended that security agencies should avoid being used by the public to settle personal vendetta. The MPs argued that the alleged victims should be encouraged to seek damages for unlawful detention and torture. However, the motion to censure Gen Tumwine collapsed after the mover failed to garner at least 153 mandatory signatures to support their censure motion. Mbate Kamagafa, Kasambia County, who authored the censure document in a press conference, said they only managed 39 signatures and this was not adequate given the February 20th, 2020 deadline. Now, the problem with Tumwine is that him as a person should understand Museveni very well, having worked with him for quite long. Now, most people always say that, oh, that's a diversion. Oh, Tumwine is saying this because, he's saying it, but he doesn't mean it. Yes, this is a lesson to everyone who has been appointed by Museveni. Museveni does not appoint you because you are brilliant. You see, one of the first rules in the art of war, never outshine your master. Museveni doesn't hire someone that are better than him, that he thinks are better than him, or that he thinks can outshine him. Now, because this general by the way, he's the third most high-ranking general in the country. Now, because he was dropped from the Ministry of Security, and because he was blamed for saying that security forces were justified to kill Ugandans last year, and of which Museveni is under heavy fire because of those particular murders, Tumwine is now hitting back using the press. Because like it or not, Museveni has already used him, dumped him, and isolated him. Now, as minister, of course, he performed. For him, he said he was speaking things out of his head, thinking that is what Museveni would have liked. But all of a sudden, now things look like, Tumwine, you have actually made the issues much more worse for me than I thought you would. That's why I have to drop you. Now, for Tumwine to hit back, he goes to the press and delivers a diatribe condemning Museveni, condemning that he has the hubris syndrome. Hubris syndrome is when someone is overconfident, excessive confidence, and that is what hubris syndrome is called, when someone is excessively confident about a particular issue. Now, the gentleman was dropped from the Katebe as Minister of Security and made senior presidential advisor. Now, we all know when Museveni makes you a senior presidential advisor, that is the gateway to be completely kicked out of his circles and everything else. Like most of the people who have been put as advisors, they are only put there just to be told that, look here, if you can hasten the process, you can just leave now, or you can wait for the time when I will even drop you from that position of senior presidential advisor and get someone else to, you know, to seal your fate of not working with you anymore. Now, Tumwine, having failed to advise Museveni as the Minister of Security, of which the advice he gave him, I believe, there was that, oh, Mr. Museveni, you are right to kill those people. Police is justified to kill. The army is justified to use all that sort of force. He's now saying that as a presidential advisor, he's going to advise Museveni to prepare for the smooth transition of power in the country. And he says that Museveni doesn't want to take advice. Like, you know, when you hear his speech, he was like crying that now this guy looks like he doesn't want to take advice. But people, and warning him that people who don't want to take advice, we all know where things end up. The gentleman sings so much, right? He's good at singing, like you can hear and see. I don't know why he doesn't compose songs that tell Museveni or that advise Museveni about particular scenarios. It is so good that this gentleman has realized that Museveni has to prepare for a smooth transition of power. It's not easy. There I can give him a wee bit of credit. That he knows that transition of power in Uganda can be that bad. And having served Museveni for a long period of time, he knows if it is not handled well, we might lose our country. It might lead to chaos and things of that sort. Unfortunately, Tumwine at the moment has no bargaining power. Unfortunately, Tumwine right now is reduced to a role of just, you know, because look here, the third deputy prime minister, known as Museveni, recently while he was swearing in, he held Museveni's hand and told him, I'm looking for you. This is 4 years, Museveni. I have not been getting you. There are some things we need to talk about. For heaven's sakes, that's the third deputy prime minister of Uganda, and he couldn't see Museveni. He wanted to advise, he wanted to give him advice. Now, tell me, okay, this senior presidential advisor, after these comments he has made in the press, you think that Museveni is going to call him and say, okay, let me hear your advice? No. Now, the spirit in which Tumwine brought his comments, of course, is not a spirit that is in the interest of Ugandans or the future of Uganda. But it is in his own personal interest, because Tumwine was denied a ministry. Let me tell you one thing. If he was given a ministry, he wouldn't be saying those words. That's it. But still, we shall give him a benefit of the doubt and jump onto those words and try to break them down for the people. Because now what you're going to see is Museveni is going to call him and, you know, sit down and talk to me, this and this and that. We know all those kind of tricks that they do, left, right, and center. But it is so unfortunate. This is a very big message. If you see people like Tumwine, it is said that this gentleman that you see, the reason as to why he wears those glasses, it is because he lost his left eye. Now, people say that he's the gentleman that fired the first shot when they were starting their war of liberation. Whereas other people say that the gentleman, he was shot in the eye. There is that theory. But other people say that while they were attacking a certain barracks, was it in Kawamba, because Tumwine was very panicky, he ran and he ran into a bush. And while there in the bush, while running through a bush, a stick pierced through his eye, and unfortunately the gentleman had that accident and lost the eye. But just to sanitize the story and make it more heroic, they said that the gentleman was shot in the eye. Now, I don't know so many people that are being shot in the eye and they remain alive to this day. That's why the general can no longer take his glasses off. But they have said, and the other theory says that the gentleman was very panicky and he almost got the entire 25 people, whatever, the entire 25 guns or whatever, those guys, or the 10 who attacked Kabamba, he almost got them all killed because he was in a rush. And that is why he had that particular accident. Now, the hubris syndrome that Museveni is very confident, he really threw a lot of jabs, and the entire country was like, really? Is it Tumwine that is saying these words? You see, these people, whenever they are being dropped out of government, that is when they realize that, oh, now Museveni is bad. Oh, now Museveni really didn't, you know. But when they are still in cabinet, When they are still working with him and he's still picking their calls, oh, now he's a good person. So which is which? That is why Ugandans can never take you serious. That is why whoever leaves Museveni and comes in the opposition, we have to first take you through a steaming process before the Ugandans can embrace you. You're not going to leave today and then the next day you say you are forming a new political party and now you want to become part of Ugandans who are fighting for change. Whereas we need anyone who can join us to fight for change. We are also very careful on the people we take in, especially when people come in with ambitions of being president. Look here, mate, you have not even spent 10 years in the opposition. You have even spent 5 years, and then you want to be part of you want to run a political party, and then you become president. Those are the Tumukunde types, the Amama Mbabazi types. And now you see Tumwine type also coming up and saying, okay, now I'm opposing Museveni and I'm going to form a new political party to challenge him, for him to peacefully create a transition. We are not going to allow that. And that is why his words, were just looked at. Whereas he had prepared a 3-hour speech to speak to Ugandans, thinking that it was going to, to cover the entire media and everything. Ugandans just looked and they're like, okay, we shall leave those to the Mayanjas. Maybe they will come and talk about those issues. But anyway, given that Tumwine has not come out to say that he's going to run for president or whatever, or he wants to lead the country, we shall just take the words that he will advise Museveni for. And it's good thing is that the gentleman has realized that Uganda is very fragile at the moment that we speak, and also for the past 35 years they have made things so rough and so bad that a smooth transition of power is not guaranteed. And it will take Tumwine to advise Museveni to hand over smoothly so as to guarantee the stability of this country, which is really interesting. Really, really interesting. Now, that comes from one of the third most powerful people in the country. On the Museveni side, that's what I mean. On Museveni's side, that's what I mean. So, I will leave you with the gentleman on some of the message, the best message. Some of the message, okay, not the best message, but the message that has been consistent with him, that has never changed. I'm going to leave you with that message. And then we shall make in the next episode. This message, this one, we can never hesitate or we can never have any doubts, especially whenever he is, singing. He is good at singing, and you can never doubt his his talent. So let us just end with that.
Gande songa mbere abakola tukole gande songa mbere abe bakabwe bake gande. Well, at least the Geno can sing. Okay, cheers guys, bye bye.